Would you buy a house you've never stepped foot in, like ever? Because I've had clients do it, but I've also had clients say absolutely not. So if you're relocating and trying to figure out whether virtual tours are enough, or if you need to see the home in person, this video is for you. Hi, I'm Heather Jenkins, your South Atlanta relocation expert, and I help a lot of families move here from out of state. And one of the biggest questions I get is, can we do this whole process virtually, or do we need to be there in person? So today I'm breaking down virtual tours versus in-person tours, taking a look at the pros and cons of both and how to know which option is right for you. Let's start with virtual tours. And I'm not talking about those polished listing videos. I mean real boots on the ground, FaceTime walkthroughs where I'm walking the house for you, opening cabinets, checking details, and giving you my honest feedback in real time. Because that's what most relocation buyers are actually relying on. The pros of virtual tours: first, you don't have to travel. This is the biggest one. If you're moving from across the country or even a few states away, traveling back and forth multiple times is expensive, time-consuming, and honestly exhausting, especially if you have children. Virtual tours let you see homes instantly without getting on a plane. The second reason, you can move fast. In this market, speed matters. With virtual tours, I can walk a home for you the same day, generally within a few hours. That gives you a huge advantage over waiting to come in town for a weekend. The third reason, you can narrow things down efficiently. Instead of flying in and seeing 15 homes in a day, which is very overwhelming, you can virtually narrow it down to your top 3 and then come see those in person if you want. It just makes the process so much more efficient. Number 4, you get honest, real-time feedback. When I'm doing a virtual tour for a client, I'm not just showing the pretty stuff. I'm pointing out the layout issues, noise, smells, yes, that matters, and things you wouldn't see in the listing photos. So you're getting a much broader picture. The cons of virtual tours: well, first, it's hard to feel the space. Cameras can distort things, rooms can look bigger or smaller than they actually are, and sometimes it's just hard to understand the flow of the home without physically being here. The second con: it's a huge decision to make from a distance. Buying a home is emotional, and for some people, it's really hard to commit without physically walking through the space. That gut feeling is harder to get through a screen. The third con: you might miss subtle details. No matter how thorough I am, there are always things you notice in person that just don't translate on camera. Things like how the neighborhood feels, the vibe of the street, the way the home sits on the lot. So let's talk about in-person tours and why some buyers still prefer them. The pros of in-person tours: you get that feeling. This is the biggest one. You walk in and you just know this is it. The emotional connection is hard to replicate virtually. You understand the area better. When you're here in person, you can drive the neighborhood, check out the nearby stores and restaurants, and really get a feel for commute times. And that's huge when you're relocating, and something you can't duplicate with a virtual tour. The third pro is that you'll notice a lot of the finer details, like traffic noise, neighbor proximity, condition details, and all of the things that can impact your decision long term. Some of the cons of in-person tours: well, travel is expensive and can be time consuming. Flights, hotels, rental cars, it all adds up quickly. And if you don't find the one during your visit, you may have to do it all over again. The second con: you might miss out on opportunities. Here's the reality: homes can go under contract quickly. If you're wanting to come in person, you may miss out on great homes that come and go while you're planning your trip to come here. The third con: it can be overwhelming. I've had clients come in for a weekend and try to see 10 to 15 homes in a day, and by the end of the day, everything starts to blur together. It's a lot to process in a short amount of time. So what's the best approach? Honestly, it's a hybrid version. Here's what I typically recommend. Start with virtual tours to narrow things down. Then, if possible, come in person for your top choices. Or, if you can't come in person, work with an agent you trust who will be your eyes and ears on the ground. The good thing about Georgia is that we are a due diligence state. So even if you see a home virtually and want to make an offer on it, you're usually going to have about a 7-day to 10-day, if you're out of town, due diligence period where then you can come in and see the home during that time and decide if it's really for you. So who should do what? Virtual tours might be best if you're relocating from far away, need to move quickly, are comfortable making decisions remotely, and don't get emotionally tied to a house. In-person tours might be better if you want to feel confident emotionally, are unfamiliar with the area, prefer to take your time with your decisions. At the end of the day, like I've said in many of my videos, there's no one-size-fits-all answer. It really comes down to your comfort level, your timeline, and your situation. If you're thinking about relocating to the South Atlanta area and trying to figure out the best way to approach your home search, I'd love to help guide you through it. Make sure to subscribe for more relocation tips and tell me in the comments, could you buy a house without ever seeing it?